Hi, I'm Pav.
And I'm Neil.
And welcome to the Top 10 of Anything podcast.
Let's start the countdown.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Walter Bruce Willis found fame in the 80s on the small screen as private detective David Addison in Moonlighting, but it wasn't long before he was a true Hollywood movie star with starring roles in classics such as Pulp Fiction, Sixth Sense, and of course Die Hard. Recently he announced his retirement from acting, so what better time to celebrate Bruce and his movies? Here's Neil with 10 facts about Bruno. Yippee Kay Yay, muddy funsters.
Thank you very much, Pav. So here we go. Bruce Willis was born in Germany. His dad was an American soldier who met his mum while stationed in West Germany.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Bruce Willis had a severe stutter as a child.
What was that?
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
He sported military fatigues and spiked his hair when he went to his Moonlighting audition.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
While filming Die Hard and the infamous under-the-table shooting scene, the blanks were so loud they caused Bruce to get permanent hearing loss.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
When Bruce and Demi Moore decided to wed, they were married in Las Vegas by none other than Little Richard.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
That one as well.
Bruce famously put a $1 million bounty on Saddam Hussein and Osama bin Laden.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
In the early 2000s, Bruce bought 12,000 boxes of Girl Scout cookies and sent them to soldiers fighting in the Middle East after his daughter persuaded him to do so.
Sorry.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Getting a bit antsy with the button.
Yeah, Bruce Willis was the first Hollywood star to act in a video game. In 1998, Willis starred in Apocalypse on the PlayStation 1.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Bruce Willis turned down the role of Sam Wheat in Ghost. It went to Patrick Swayze in the end.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
And as you heard earlier, his full name is actually Walter Bruce Willis.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Well, there you go. Thank you very much for that, Neil. We are joined by a movie expert and someone that I'm assuming is a Bruce Willis fan. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Andy from the Road to Nowhere podcast. Hello, Andy.
Evening, guys. How you doing?
We're doing all right. Now, we understand that you might be a little bit distracted and a little bit like you're not 100% vision on us. So explain what's going on, because as we're recording this, something very special is happening, isn't it, Andy?
Well, if you're from the green and white half of Glasgow, yeah. If you're not, then it's a bit of a shiter of a night for you. But that's unfortunate. It's half time just now, so we're all right for the minute. But yeah, Celtic come in the league tonight, so I'm kind of, I won't be distracted. It's fine because we've squished it this year. It's been a piece of piss. And yeah, it's just been being a football fan is what it is, and didn't expect to even be close to it this year. So it's a bit of a surprise, a happy surprise.
I can imagine. I mean, we're going to maybe just veer off into football talk for a little bit. So apologise if you're not a football fan, but what were you, 25 points behind or something like that last season? So
yeah,
you weren't expecting to maybe just to narrow the gap a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, so we're 6 points clear at the minute, drawn just now, but need 1 point from 6. Yeah, so Celtic were going for this 10 in a row thing last year, the first side to do it in Scotland, and it basically all went tits up. The manager just started gaslighting the fans. The board put up fences around the stadium, and it was an utter farce, to be honest. And then we had a whole summer of chasing Eddie Howe, who met with Celtic, are kind of mainly owned by a billionaire, Dermot Desmond. He met him, got taken to his house, and there was this whole thing about him waiting to find out if his backroom staff could join him if Bournemouth didn't get promoted, I think it was. And then that broke down, and we got in this, for our side of the world, certainly anyway, unknown, and Ange Postecoglou who's a Greek-born Australian, was managing in Japan for Yokohama Marinos. He's got links with the City Group, so Yokohama are under the City Group, so he's worked kind of closely with them. And I remember being furious when we signed him up, and I said the day that he signed, I says, I hope he fails, and I hope he's fucking sacked by Halloween. But that was just an anger thing, because there's an issue with certain. I don't like having links to the City Group. Yeah.
But there you go. I mean, if you knew then what you know now, it was you'd have welcomed him with open arms, wouldn't you?
Definitely. I mean, this is maybe a bit underperformed in Europe, but we've been underperforming in Europe for about 20 years. So I don't think we've won a knockout stage game, a tie. Sorry, we've won a couple of games, but a tie since 2004, I think was the last time. But he got a League Cup in December, and we've had a threadbare squad. I mean, people say he spent a lot of money, and I think he spent about £20 million, which for up here is quite good. But we brought in over 40. So, and it needed it. We lost our best striker, we lost our best defender. Some people might say we lost our best midfielder, but I never liked Ryan Christie. So it was just a whole. The chief executive left as well. It's just been a massive rebuild, and he's just came in, and he seems to. He never gets too high, never gets too low. And the Scottish press, who I am not the biggest fan of, don't really know how to take him and don't deal with him, which is funny. So it's quite good.
Well, I'll say it now because I think it's going to happen. So congratulations. Obviously, when people hear this, it'll be getting close to the new season starting. So enjoy that little gap, because then then I suppose after that, you've got next week or the week out. No, a couple of weeks' time, Scotland playing Ukraine, is it? No.
Yeah, it's Ukraine.
And then the winners play Wales. Yeah, June
Wales.
the 1st or June the 2nd or something like that, I think it is.
Yeah, something like that. Just in time. It's been delayed. I think it was meant to have been in May or
that's right,
April or something. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. It was good being at the Euros. I mean, we were terrible, but it was first time. I mean, I was 10 when France 98 happened, so that was the last time we had been there.
God, you're just a young pup, aren't you? You haven't had decades and decades of disappointment like we have as England fans, you see. So
yeah, well, I still enjoyed the final.
Yeah.
So that was quite good. I'm partially Italian for that night.
Okay, well, we're not going to talk about football, obviously, but congratulations, Andy, on your team's success, which will happen and would have happened by now when you're listening to this. So there you go.
Thanks. I've worked really hard for it.
I bet you have. But we're here to talk about Bruce Willis. Obviously, the sad news that asphyxia was what he'd been diagnosed with. So before we actually go in, because I think obviously we're going to have a lot of duplicates in this top 10. So start with you, Neil. What does Bruce Willis? I mean, I'm talking like he's already died, which obviously he hasn't. But it's more of this is going to be a tribute to Bruce Willis. What's your thoughts on Bruce Willis as an actor?
In the 80s and 90s, I'll say late 80s through the 90s, he was pretty much the number one action star, shall we say. He was Hollywood bankable, and that's where I'd like to remember him. Not so much in the recent years where he's been churning out what I would call the direct-to-video shite, which I know pays the bills, etc., etc. But we have to remember he's not a bad actor. He was a pretty decent actor in his time, and I think he lost his way. And also those awful TV interviews didn't do him any favor, and we must forget those and remember him as the go-lucky guy when he was on the rounds doing the Planet Hollywood tours with Stallone and Schwarzenegger. He was the guy we all wanted to be. He was cool as fuck, wasn't he? He really was. He was a cool dude, and that's how I like to remember him from there. We'll talk about his movies a bit later on.
Yeah. So Andy, you, as we just said, you're a little bit younger than we are. Where do you stand in regards to Bruce Willis as an actor then?
I wouldn't say he's my favourite of all time. Like, I can appreciate that he's done a lot of good work, especially in some of the movies that we're going to talk about. For me, I've we'll see it from that we're 10, that his sci-fi and his horror is quite an influence on, not an influence on me, but like it was my kind of go-to for him. I think what you were saying earlier on about the kind of straight to DVD stuff, I think that's maybe shown that I've never seen any of them, but apparently it's like they put him on the cover and he's in it for like less than 3 minutes type of thing.
Yeah.
But it maybe shows that with the, how do you say, is it asphasia?
Yeah.
He's maybe known that's been coming and he's went, right, just fill the bank up for family, friends and kids and things like that. So you can understand at the time you're sitting going, why is he making 5 of these a year?
Yeah.
Which shows he's obviously, I would assume he's still got a lot of money. I don't know his background and everything, but he's just trying to secure his family for as long as he can possibly, which is paints him in a good light. I actually played the game Apocalypse years ago on the PS1, which was a huge thing. I remember it being so well advertised that he was in this game. And it was actually a decent game, not one of these, not like a movie tie-in or anything, so it had a bit of effort put into it. But yeah, I think mostly he's kind of sci-fi, kind of horror leanings I go towards more so than some of his other stuff, and what that is great, the stuff he's in there.
Yeah. I mean, I have to admit, I like Neil said, where everyone wanted to be, I wanted to be Bruce Willis back in 1980, whatever, when Moonlighting first came out. That was the Thursday night on BBC was amazing television. On BBC One and BBC Two, you had top of the. So just bear with us, Andy, while we go back in time before you were even born. It was like it used to have Top of the Pops, and I mean, I think Only Fools and Horses, Blackadder, and then Moonlighting used to be on. And he was that kind of guy. He's the wisecracking guy that was good looking. That everybody, I think, all the blokes want, and I wanted to be him. I wanted to go bold like him because he went bold the cool way, where you could spike your hair up. I tried to have my hair cut like him, couldn't get it done like that. I just wanted to be Bruce Willis. And then when it was a return of Bruno, I can remember going around dressed in black t-shirt, blue jeans, and then the sort of Back to the Future high tops that he used to wear, because I just wanted to be like Bruce Willis. I think he was just such a cool bloke. Just because of that was before any of the movies came out. Now, have you guys ever seen any of the Red Letter Media videos on YouTube? It's like Mr. Plinkett and all of that. Well, they did a video before Bruce Willis came out about the aphasia diagnosis, just concentrating on these movies that Bruce Willis has been making. And basically where every movie he's only in it for probably 10, 15 minutes. He's never in a scene with anybody else. So it looks like he's films all of his bits by himself and then they cut them in. He's mainly always sitting down. And they were saying, and it looks like he has like something in his ear. So it looks like they're feeding him his lines. So they're taking the piss out of him, which is what Red Letter Media do. They're very funny guys. And basically saying that he gets $1 million for these movies. So if you do 5 a year, you're getting $5 million. That's basically the majority of the budget. So everyone else is getting paid shitloads. He comes in, does 2 or 3 days work, and then says, bye, everyone. And then what they do for the wide shots, if you like, they use a stand-in. And sometimes they showed some of the clips. It's not even a very good stand-in. They just find some guy that's bold that they can shoot from the back. I'll put it in the video playlist, their video, because it does look bad. And I think the trouble is a lot of people now have thought that's what Bruce Willis is. Yeah, and I don't think that was Bruce Willis. When you actually think about it, was a movie star. He wasn't a great actor. I think he's like Harrison Ford. He was not a great actor, but he's a movie star. And I feel that that's how we should. And again, it sounds like we're talking about him when he's died and he hasn't. But that's how we should remember him. Remember him as a wisecracking, just movie star. A Celtic scored.
Sorry, yeah.
They well done. I thought I had that little look on his face.
Jumping for the header of him. Yeah, good stuff.
That's fine because we can sort of react to it in real time. So that's fine. I'd rather that, because if they hadn't scored, if they'd gone 1-0 down, oh my god, what a mood you're going to be in. Okay, so like
just hung up.
We're gonna get a lot of duplicates.
Sorry, no, it's that.
But we will have a good chat about each movie and what it means to us. So, Andy, kick us off with your number 10, your 10th Bruce Willis movie.
Number 10 is 12 Monkeys.
That's my number 4.
Oh, That's my number 9. So there you go.
I think it's a sci-fi classic. You've got a great performance for Willis and also Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
I mean, it's trippy as fuck. Like, it's such a strange movie. The first time I've seen it, I was quite young and I didn't really understand what was going on. Like, I didn't understand how... Do we go? How spoilery do we go?
You can go spoil away.
Spoil away.
Oh,
Spoil
okay.
away.
I didn't realise how young Bruce Willis, how he could have seen old Bruce Willis, and it just kind of blew my mind a wee bit being the age I was when I seen it. Yeah, it's just a kind of mind-bending... I just absolutely love it. I can watch it loads of times. I have watched it loads of times. Sorry, I can watch it as often as I want, and it never gets old. It's Terry Gilliam, isn't it?
Yeah,
And
Terry
he's
Gilliam, yeah.
one for doing these kind of... Brazil's one that's kind of passed me by, but he had a reputation coming into this for being able to get those weird kind of psychedelic feelings on screen. It also reminded me a wee bit of... And this is a movie that's came up for me so much, and I really don't like it, and I don't know why it keeps coming up. I don't know if you have seen City of Lost Children.
I have, yeah.
Yeah, I really don't like it, but it's aesthetically, and I don't know what one came first. I think 12 Monkeys was 95, maybe.
It was 95, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that City of Lost Children came after Jean-Pierre Jeunet, and it's that kind of grimy, dystopian, future type world, but almost like a brown filter over it at times when he's in the future. Anyway, yeah, aesthetically, I just think it's great and a brilliant story.
Yeah,
Neil?
I think I was going to say, I think it was one of Terry Gilliam's most successful movies. I mean, Bruce Willis very good at. He's managed to get 2 great performances out of actors that not necessarily were known for being given great performances. Both Bruce Willis and Brad Pitt. I mean, Brad Pitt was Oscar nominated, wasn't he, for Best Supporting Actor for this
Yeah.
film? And isn't it Madeleine Stowe in it as well?
It is Madeleine Stowe, indeed.
Yeah, and she was very good. Just the whole, like Andrew said, the whole look of it was almost grimy yet futuristic. Very, very clever how he got the sets to look as it was. And what a mind fuck the whole film is. It really is. And Andrew, you've got to watch Brazil. You've got to watch Brazil.
It's always been on my list, and I've just never got to it. It's just, I don't know why. Like, I know I probably would like it, and it's just never made it. Never managed to get around to it. I think you see a bit as well, possibly that it could influence the Matrix in terms of the machine world, the way it looks.
Yeah, no, I can see
cables
that.
and horribleness and machinery, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Wachowski sisters were kind of influenced by that. But
yeah, no, I probably agree. It's very grimy, very used looking.
Yeah,
That's the thing. Not that it's a direct descendant of Star Wars, but it has that used universe, isn't it? And it's the future, but there's nothing shining and gleaming about the future here. It's all just broken and steel and jagged, and there don't seem to be any nice curves. And the one thing about Terry Gilliam, I think, I'm the same as you, Andy. I've Brazil sort of passed me by, and I had it on Blu-ray for years, and then I sold it. I got rid of it because I got rid of all my Blu-rays because I don't think it's streaming anywhere, is it?
No.
So I've sort of
as well.
I had my chance of watching it because I actually had it, like I owned it, but I didn't bloody watch it.
I had a DVD box set of all the cuts of the movie, everything with all the behind the scenes was my pride and joy, and I was persuaded to lend it to somebody who then lent me the Kurosawa box set, and we never swapped back.
Oh, right.
And I'm absolutely gutted because I want it back.
Do you feel you got the short end of the straw then with the Kurosawa box set?
You know, you love the Kurosawa films. I mean, who doesn't? But yeah, I wish I had my Brazil back.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds like something out of a makeup or a hair loss place, doesn't it? I wish I had my Brazil back.
But yeah, I think it's very. What was the name of the documentary that went with 12 Monkeys? It was the hamster
wheel.
That was it. The hamster wheel.
Yeah,
the hamster factor.
Factor.
The hamster factor. That's
which is
right.
one of the best behind the scenes documentaries
fascinating
you'll ever watch.
Yeah, absolutely fascinating. Yeah, if you ever get a chance to see that. Okay, then Neil, you're number 10.
So this will surprise a lot of people. Look who's talking.
Ah, lunch.
Yeah, I just think Bruce Willis made this film funny. His voice, he really put character into the baby. Was it Mikey, wasn't it, or Mickey? I don't know.
Something like that.
Yeah, with his expressions, he made it hilarious. Obviously, it was the film that rejuvenated John Travolta. I'm a fan of this movie. I watched it not so long ago, and if I would say go back and watch it if you can, because
I was going to say I haven't seen it for a while. I wonder whether it's still held up.
It does. It really is some belly laughs, especially from the opening scene with the sperm going in and way and all that. It really has got some proper belly laughs. I'd forgotten how funny it was. That's why
George Seagull as well, isn't it? George Seagull.
Oh yeah, it was. And it's a proper laugh out loud. And like I say, Bruce Willis's voice work in this is fantastic. It fits perfectly. Ignore the sequels, because I haven't rewatched those recently, but they were a shite. This one is just brilliant. Yeah, go back and rewatch it. Proper belly laughs in it. Well, I thought it was.
How many sequels did they do? It was 3, didn't they?
3 with Bruce Willis and that, and then they did a 4th with the dogs or something, didn't they?
So what was the second one? The second one was a
Look Who's Talking 2.
Who's Talking 2?
Yeah.
With he had a sister.
Was that Roseanne? Wasn't it?
Roseanne, I think. Yeah. And then what was number 3? Number 3 was with the dogs, wasn't it?
That's the animal.
Danny DeVito and
I can't remember who else it was, but yeah, Danny.
I think it's Diane Keaton. Funny. Maybe Diane Keaton. Maybe. Okay.
But yeah, a lot funnier than I remember it.
Yeah, I might give them another go. Let's just have a look. Because it's been years, decades since I've watched those. But I think, John Travolta, I think, is very similar to Bruce Willis. I think he's ridiculed now for the movies that he makes.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, there wasn't a bigger movie star in the 70s, sort of mid to late 70s than John Travolta.
Well, and then he had the resurgence.
And then the resurgence, yeah. You
know,
there you go. Top 10 John Travolta movies. We'll do that next. Okay, my number 10 is The Last Boy Scout. Which was directed by Tony Scott, written by Shane Black of Lethal Weapon fame. It's just a really good, solid detective series, and he's a little bit of a cross in that between sort of like David Addison and John McClane, but he's a bit schlubby. He's a bit of a loser. But
I haven't seen that in ages. I remember that being pretty violent. If I remember.
Oh yeah,
where he sat on the chair being punched, always looked really graphic. Punch me one more time and I'll kill you.
That's right. Yeah. And at the start of it with the American football game.
That's right.
The guy, it's in the rain, and the guy's running to get to the touchdown and just pulls a gun out and shoots the defender so that he can get in the end zone. A little bit drastic, but there you go. So yeah,
that's one again that that passed me by. I have heard about it. I listened to a podcast called We Hate Movies. Don't know if you know that at all. It's these American four American guys, and they don't always hate the movies, and I don't think they hated The Last Boy Scout.
Right.
But they did say it was crazy.
Yeah.
Like it's just a mad movie. And it definitely sounds like it's got elements of like another Shane Black, like The Nice Guys, where it's just almost slapstick funny at times, but violent and serious, and the kind of in the background of it. But it's one I meant to check out, but no, I've not seen that.
I mean, it is sort of like buddy cop. There's him and Damon Wayans. Damon Wayans is the American footballer. There's loads. I mean, like so looking at Halle Berry's in it.
Yeah.
You got Kim Coates, who was in Sons of Anarchy, and he's also the guy that's in Waterworld. The water. Paper, that's what it is, isn't it?
Oh,
paper.
yeah.
Do you want some paper? That one, that's him.
Great impression.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm here all week. So that's my number 10. Okay, Andy, you're number 9.
It's Planet Terror.
Oh, that's my number 8.
There we go.
Okay.
But I put the Grindhouse because I prefer it together in the Grindhouse version than on its own.
Yeah, I think it's part 2, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's the same for both movies off a Grindhouse. Like Death Proof's a lot better when it's got 20-25 minutes cut off it.
Absolutely.
It's just the kind of ultimate B movie. It's again going into kind of schlocky violence, and he's not in it a huge amount actually. Bruce Willis, he plays the kind of the colonel, and he's kind of the protagonist for a certain element of the characters. It's just gross and horrible, and if you want to see Tarantino's balls fall off if you don't like him, then that's a movie for you.
Yeah, there's some great schlocky gore in it. If you like a bit of gore, it's great. Some great melting scenes and things.
Lieutenant Muldoon.
There you go, Lieutenant Muldoon.
Yeah. I've God, that's been, so what year was that? 2007. I haven't seen that for ages. It was just that whole thing, wasn't it, where Tarantino was trying to bring the Grindhouse movie back.
Yeah.
And it looked really good. I mean,
it did.
All the the bad photography, the slashes, the burns on the screen, and those fake adverts, which I think are absolutely fucking genius.
Yeah.
Especially Edgar Wright's one. I love that.
Well, so much so that then Machete ended up becoming like two movies they made out of that, didn't they?
It's Hobo with a Shotgun one as well.
Yeah, that's right.
That became a movie as well.
With Rutger Hauer in the main role. Yeah.
I've not seen that one, but I've seen Machete.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff. Oh God, I want to see Machete again. I haven't seen, because it wasn't the second one. Wasn't Mel Gibson the baddie in the second one?
He was. Yeah,
Machete Kills.
Yeah.
Machete Kills. That's right. And then it ended up with like it's almost like a trailer at the end where it was going to machete in space.
Which he nearly.
His machete became a lightsaber, didn't it?
Very nearly made it. Robert Rodriguez said in an interview he was that close to making it. So
I would have watched that.
Yeah, but where do people stand on Robert Rodriguez? Because I don't know whether he's a bad filmmaker. Because I watched that. I watched that Shark Girl and Lava.
Yeah.
Oh my God! I know it's not for me. I know it's a kid thing, but Jesus, it is crap.
It is crap, but
it's
do you know what?
So
I
bad.
think the whole thing was him experimenting with his FX ready for Sin City. I think that's all it was.
Do you think?
Yeah, genuinely.
Because even things like that and the Spy Kids, the special effects are so bad in it.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. He was prepping it for Sin City, and I genuinely do. He's a director that when he first came out, because I think Desperado and that, I'm not so fond of Once Upon a Time in Mexico, but Desperado I think is fucking genius.
Yeah, I think it's a great film.
Brilliant movie.
Yeah,
and a lot of his other stuff I think has been fantastic. The Faculty is brilliant. And things like that. I put money on him back in the 90s that he'd be a director that would go on to win an Oscar. How wrong I was. Yeah. But I still think he's got that vision. I think he's a great visionary.
Yeah, he's in with the new Star Wars now, isn't he? So he's doing a lot of that sort of stuff. But yeah, I think my kids or my grandkids was watching what is it? Shark Girl and Lava.
Shark Girl and Lava. The Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl. So I've got a 3-year-old.
And I sat there for like 10 minutes with my mouth gaping open, thinking, "What the hell is this? This is awful."
But also that was in the 2000s, and the effects from the 2000s have dated terribly now. That might be a lot of the problem.
Jurassic Park was 1993.
Yeah, and that hasn't dated, but a lot of the shit
hasn't dated. It's just as good. You could watch that now and still think it was coming out.
I agree, but then you've got a lot of stuff that people consider were great movies, like The Mummy and The Mummy Returns and all of that, and you watch it back, and the effects are shocking.
Yeah, look, I'm not knocking him. I like him as a filmmaker. It's just that sometimes on some of these films where it feels like he's making them for his kids.
Yeah, that's what he did. He said it, didn't he? He did say he's making them for his children. Yeah, the other one that I watched recently that everybody thinks is a classic, Blade 2. The effects in Blade 2 are shocking.
Right.
Are they? I've
literally shocking.
That's the one with is it Luke or Matt Goss? One of the two. One of the Luke. Yeah. One of the
Guillermo del Toro's the director.
That's right. Yeah. Go on then, Neil. You're number 9.
So I hate this word, and we've used it a lot in other things. Guilty pleasure movie Armageddon makes no fucking sense.
That's my number 2.
Is it?
Yeah. I fucking love that movie.
Sense, but I would say it's a brilliant fairground ride.
It is, really absolutely.
It's just fun. It's Michael Bay when we could all tolerate Michael Bay. Just about. Yeah. I mean, that and The Rock is probably the only things. But it's fun, isn't it? I mean, that's all we can put it as. And Bruce Willis is very, very good in that sort of role as it is.
He's the only person that could drill a nuclear warhead into an asteroid
Yeah,
to save the world. He's the only person that they could pick to do that.
that's
Ben
right.
Affleck
Where
couldn't
they
do
had
that.
to pick miners or these drillers to become astronauts and not astronauts to be miners.
Yeah,
Someone
it's
asked
Bruce
him
Willis.
that. Someone
Yeah.
asked him that on the set, didn't they? And he just told them to fuck off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. But it's totally ridiculous. And we've spoken to about the movie before, but Bruce Willis is perfect in that movie.
He is perfect in that.
I think,
movie.
to be fair, the whole movie is brilliantly cast.
Yeah.
You know, it's a great movie. It's totally ridiculous, and you can tell that a lot of the people are there for the paycheck.
Well, and right to be so, because
Absolutely.
it was a huge film, wasn't
Absolutely.
it? It was massive when it came out.
Absolutely,
It was the two together, wasn't it? That and Deep Impact, and
Deep Impact.
Armageddon smacked Deep Impact back out into the atmosphere.
Very good, Neil. Very
Boom.
Not in your top 10 then, Andy?
No, I don't have that.
Interesting.
I mean, it's got one of the iconic kind of theme tunes as well, doesn't it? Like the Aerosmith, and that's a great song. I don't know. I just, I mean, it could have been in my top 10. I mean, these are quite interchangeable at times. It just depended on my mood when I wrote it, as it kind of goes on. But no, it's just one that I've never been a huge fan of. I think as well that it was. I mean, I preferred it to Deep Impact, but that's easy enough to say because that was rubbish.
Yeah. It's a lot more memorable than Deep Impact. Put it that way.
Aye, definitely.
Regardless of obviously, the believability or whatever, but it's great with the fact that everybody that is in it, although the story is absolutely ridiculous, everybody's playing it straight. Everybody's playing it like it's, they're not, they haven't got a nod and a wink going, yeah, we know this is ridiculous. And there's bits in it that, like I've said before, do genuinely get me in the feels. The what's his name? Who's the Patton?
Will Patton.
Will Patton. That's right. When he comes home, and then his estranged girlfriend or whatever, or wife, and his son comes running around the corner. That always gets me. And just Bruce Willis on the rock, and we win, Gracie, and it's just fun. It's a good old fashioned rip-roaring romp. Yes, exactly.
It's a very 90s disaster movie. It definitely feels like a 90s movie. Like, I have rewatched it. It's not that I've never rewatched it and I just don't have a dislike for it or anything, but it definitely feels like his opening scene and he's teeing off at the Greenpeace boat when he's just trying to hit them all and everything. And and he gets in it as a good, enjoyable movie. I don't have any kind of hatred towards it or anything.
Yeah. Okay.
Just didn't make the cut.
Make the cut. No, my number 9 was 12 Monkeys. So it's up to you again, Andy, for number 8, please.
This might be a bit controversial. I went for Glass.
Oh, okay.
Do I still haven't watched it. I'm going to be 100% honest. I haven't seen it.
Interesting.
So this was kind of hated, maybe a strong word, but not well received. I've got a lot of time for it. It kind of subverts. It's M. Night Shyamalan making his superhero movie, or the third part of his superhero trilogy, and it's a really talky movie. Like, it's strange, and he does such a good job with gets the performance out of Bruce Willis, who we hadn't seen for in that type of role for a while. We get James McAvoy just being great in it, and Samuel L. Jackson coming back as Mr. Glass. I can see why people didn't like it, because it wasn't, and actually when I first watched it, I actually didn't like it either. It was quite something clattering in the background, right? Slow. It's quite a slow movie, and I wanted to see Bruce Willis versus James McAvoy scrapping on top of a building and knocking things over, and it just never happened. But it wasn't until the second watch. It gets ridiculous at the end, like really ridiculous, and too many twists. I think Shyamalan's kind of hampered themselves by having so many twists now. But yeah, I've got a lot of time for it. I think he's done a really good job of making a different superhero movie.
It's weird you say that, because one of the criticisms for most superhero movies is that, oh god, it's the baddie versus the hero, and all they're doing is fighting with each other and smashing into buildings. I've only seen a little bit of Glass. I've not seen all of it, but I was expecting that kind of, like you said, that kind of superhero movie in it. When it didn't, it was getting very, very boring. And what was the one before? Split, wasn't it?
Split, yeah.
Fantastic movie, really good. And then with the ending, when you see Bruce Willis's character, I thought this is going to be really, really good, and I was really disappointed. And it sort of like took me out of watching the movie, and I probably should go back to it, really.
Yeah,
but
I almost included Split, but because he's basically in it for 10 seconds, I thought that'd be a bit much.
yeah. That's fair enough. Right, Neil, you said Planet Terror for your number 8.
Yep.
My number 8 is Die Hard 2, Die Harder. So I was wondering whether you shouldn't really put all 3 Die Hard movies together. Well, I don't count 4 and 5, whatever it is. There's only 3 Die Hard movies as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, you
But I
can't
think-
put them all together.
No, but I think each individual one has got their merits. And Die Hard 2, as much again as it's ridiculous, that I think he even says during the movie, how can the same shit happen to the same guy twice? It's got some fantastic bits. The spoilers, but the twist where the soldiers are actually working for the bad guy. You've got William Sadler, I think it was,
Yeah,
who played
he is
Death
with his
in the
martial arts.
That's right. Yeah, where we can. I mean, he sure can turn a TV off, can't he? Whoa.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never seen anyone turn a TV off that quick. I mean, it was amazing. I was so impressed with his sculpted body as he flicks that remote control. I don't quite know what they were trying to make it out. I suppose he's got quick reflexes, I suppose. But yeah, I think it's a great movie, a great
It's got
sequel.
some great set pieces.
Oh, it's got some fantastic, and the whole with the fact that his wife is up in the plane, stuck on the same plane as William Atherton. I can't remember what his name is in this, because I just think of him as the guy from Ghostbusters, but he always plays total shits, doesn't he? He's always that kind of, he's got that kind of face. But they're up, the plane's up, and so he blows up the baddie plane and gives them the runway for his wife to come down and stuff. So yeah, that's my number 8. Andy, your number 7, please.
Don't hate me for this, but it's Die Hard.
You know what? I genuinely thought that this episode was going to be the one when we all have the same number 1. I really thought it was going to be. But
who's to say it is our?
What?
No, who's to say it is all our number 1s?
Well, I know for a fact it isn't.
No, but the rest 2 as well.
Oh yeah, that's true. Go on then, Andy.
I really like Die Hard. I'm not, again, these are all great movies that are on this list. It's just never, I got to it quite late, and it wasn't a movie I was brought up with, and I feel like that type of movie should have been something that I was maybe brought up with a bit more to get the full kind of experience and the full love of it. It's iconic, it's flawless, and it's not that it's not a great movie, as I keep trying to dig myself out of this hole. It's just, again, it's just one that isn't as kind of influential on me, and hasn't had the same influence that movies of that era have had, like your Terminator 2, mostly Arnie stuff, if I was to go through a list of that, because it was just a kind of big Arnie mark when I was younger. It wasn't his first movie, was it?
No. He did that one with Kim Basinger, didn't he?
Yeah, Blind Date. There was one called
Date.
Sunset, something like that as well. Yeah.
But it was kind of like his. I know there was a lot of issues around casting him, because he was seen as that sitcom guy or that kind of TV guy, and he's fantastic in it. He's so good. He's likable, and he's likable while being a dick at the same time, which is great. And you've got Alan Rickman just hamming it up on screen, and even the kind of the henchmen in the background cast in it are great. And yeah, it's a fantastic movie. It just it was 7th, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, Thornburg, William Atherton played. That's right. And you obviously had the FBI guys, and you had the head of the police, Paul Gleason, who was Dwayne T. Robinson. And then what was the what was the Argyle?
That's
was
right.
the,
He was a policeman. And,
No, Argyle was the
chauffeur.
the
Sorry.
chauffeur, and then
And then you had Johnson and Johnson.
Johnson and Johnson with the FBI's, yeah, and then Sergeant Al Powell was the
Yeah.
I'll talk about it, my view on it a little bit later on.
Whenever that may be.
Whenever that may be, yeah. Yeah, whenever that may be. Go on then, Neil, you're number 7.
The Sixth Sense, to me. When I first saw this, I saw this before it came over in this country because I was in America at the time when it came
That's my
out.
number 6, by the way.
Okay.
My number 5.
I was blown away with it. The more I've seen it, the less I've liked it, if this makes sense.
No, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it's
makes sixth sense.
Yeah, it's growing away.
Perfect
from me,
sixth sense.
He's a great actor in this. It's a great performance. Did you see the spoiler coming? Obviously that he's a ghost. Did you see it when you saw it at the cinema? No, I didn't.
No, that was one of those movies that it took you ages to get a seat because you had to book your seat.
Right.
Because every time for like weeks it was like everybody and I don't think the internet was as prevalent as it is now. So nobody, when we went, nobody said what the spoiler was. Yeah. The only trouble was it was a bit like Scream. You knew there was a spoiler. You knew there was a twist. So all the way through it, you were going, "That's what the twist is. That's what the twist." Like the guy, the kiddie or the bloke that kills himself at the start.
Yeah.
Had like a little white fleck. That was Donnie Wahlberg, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah.
He had a white fleck in his hair, and then the Haley Joel Osment character had a white fleck in their hair, and I thought, oh, that's the same person. Oh, he's the same. So you start looking for things, and you're thinking, oh, that means that, and that means that, when none of it really. But so yeah, when it happened, it was a, oh my god moment. Fucking.
Because I saw it literally. It was about 6 weeks before it was released in this country. So everybody kept saying to me, I said, I'm not going to say a word. I'm not going to say a word. You'll have to just go and see it. But I've sort of, like I said, it's higher up my list because the last time I watched it, I didn't get half as much pleasure out of it than I did previously. Not to say it wasn't a bad performance. I just find Chalamet a bit of a trope. I'm not a fan of Chalamet's direction. And I've noticed it in that it's quite a weak director that's done it, with his visuals and everything like that. He really plays on some real stereotypical things. The young girl in the teepee or the made up tent when she pukes, which is probably the biggest jump in the whole movie. I'm sort of growing away from it, but I still like Bruce Willis's performance. I think he's fantastic in it.
He's quite understated in it, isn't he? That's the thing.
That's what I like.
He's not being a hero as such.
No,
it's just
being human, isn't he?
Yeah.
In terms of the twist, I remember my mum and dad rented it for me because I was just too young to go and see it. So when it came out on video, they rented it, and I told someone that I was playing football with. He says, "Oh, I'm watching The Sixth Sense when I go home tonight," and he went, "Oh, Bruce Willis a ghost."
Oh,
you fucking dick.
Yeah. Oh dear.
That was it, and I'm pretty sure I told my mum when she went out and had a go at them because they'd seen it.
Right.
They had seen it in the cinema. My mum and dad seen it in the cinema. It was for me to watch with them.
Yeah.
That's like when Homer comes out of Empire Strikes Back and everyone's queuing up. I can't believe that Vader is Luke's dad. And, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. But I think the American reaction when I went to sat in an American audience was great, I have to say. The way you heard the oohs and the ahs when the big twist was revealed.
But it was also a perfect movie because you had to go back and watch it again to see all the clues.
Yeah.
So when Olivia Williams, his wife, is sat at the restaurant table, nothing moves. So you don't realize that she doesn't know that her husband, a dead husband, is there, but nothing gets touched, so she wouldn't know. That's very clever. I thought that was very clever how they did it. I haven't seen it for a long time, so I don't know.
No. Yeah, I watched it not so long ago. I introduced my daughter to it to see whether she'd like it. She'd not watched it, so in lockdown, and that's when I sort of realised it wasn't as good as I thought it was.
Yeah,
I think it's an issue with Shyamalan's movies, isn't it? Once you've seen them and the twist's been revealed, then you can still get enjoyment out of rewatching them. Like I rewatched Signs recently, and I really like Signs. And I still thought it was great, but it's because it's not as twisty in that
No.
movie.
No.
But once you've seen it initially and you've had that kind of build up to it, then it's the kind of originality of it's gone.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. If you're relying on a twist at every movie, it's like you once you've shot your load, that's it. There's nothing else to. Well, sorry to put it that way, but but then there is literally you're just left there cleaning up the mess, aren't you?
Yeah. Which would be the Last Airbender. Didn't he direct that?
Oh, he did. Yeah.
I've not seen that. Did that have a twist in it?
I don't know. No, I don't think anybody knows whether there was a twist in it. And also with Sixth Sense, I think Haley Joel Osment is amazing.
Yeah, well, yeah.
That performance, and also that whole scene when him and Tony Collette are in the car, and he's been speaking to somebody that died in the car crash. I think it was a bike. That whole scene, then saying about her mum came and saw you when you were dancing or whatever. That's fantastically.
Yeah,
acted. I can see what you mean though, Neil, in regards to. It becomes a bit of a one-trick pony. That's the trouble, I think. Yeah. Okay, my number 7 is Unbreakable. We spoke a little bit earlier regarding Glass. You guys got Unbreakable?
Yeah, it's my number 4.
Your number 4.
No, not for me. I'm going to sit out of this one because I really don't like this movie.
You don't?
No. I think it's one of the most boring movies.
No, I thought it was a great slow burn. I don't normally like slow burn movies. But that one was a real slow burn movie. And the fact that you're learning alongside Bruce Willis, like what he is, to the point that his son believes that if he points a gun at him and shoots him, he'll be fine. I mean, that's a hell of a experiment to have. I just think it's a really good, and the thing is, the movie doesn't count on the twist.
Yeah,
I mean, I think, but plus it also builds up with another twist in regards to Samuel L. Jackson's character and what he's been doing, and the fact that he thinks that he's his opposite and his villain to his hero. No, I haven't seen it for a while, but that's one of my
So I'm problematic with it because I get where you're coming from, but when they're talking, the dialogue, I wish there wasn't a minute pause between every fucking word.
Yeah, that's
honestly, it really drove me up the wall. It's one film I nearly walked out of at the cinema. It was driving me fucking crazy.
I think one of Shyamalan's weakest parts is probably his dialogue writing. Like, if he gets it right, it can be good, but more often than not, it's a bit of a struggle. But as you're saying, Pav, it's just kind of, you're watching Bruce Willis test himself, and it's an origin story, really, isn't it? It's a kind of different version of an origin story, and the twist isn't the kind of be all and end all of the movie, but it works. Like, and then it just kind of, I'm pretty sure you find out the twist, and then it just ends. It's like, all right, okay, that'll be that then. Like, and yeah, I think again, it's about the great performances for those two, and just the kind of intrigue. And again, similar with Glass. The first time I seen Unbreakable, I was younger as well. Like with Glass, I wasn't, but when I seen it, I was quite young, and I was expecting the superhero movie, and watching him fight bad guys in his rain jacket, and that wasn't there. But no, I think it's great. Yeah, I really like it. Yeah.
Okay, then. Let me see. That was my number 7. So, Andy, your number 6, please.
Went for Rian Johnson's Looper.
Oh, that's my number 6 as well. Great minds.
Aye, of course. It has actually been a wee while since I've watched this, but I think the idea of it, and time travel is quite a hard thing to get right. And I think they just get it spot on with this. It's a great sci-fi movie. The prosthetics in Joseph Gordon-Levitt are a bit iffy. I don't know why you needed to do that. Just say he's young Bruce Willis and don't make his nose off on him. Like, just that'd be fine. And you've got, again, another Bruce Willis playing the villain, really, isn't he?
He is, yeah.
Essentially in the movie, like, which you don't see very often. He was never much I'm saying that, and I've got Planet Terror as well, but as a kind of, he has his motivations, which you kind of understand, but at the same time, morally he's wrong, which is not something that morally wise he's usually we're saying, the kind of 80s 90s action hero. Some great action set pieces in it, and I really like the finale of it. I think the way it kind of wraps up, I think, is great.
Absolutely, and it's such a well-directed movie as well. Like you said, it makes time travel, which a lot of films lose you sometimes with the time travel element. This one, it explained it really well and showed it really well. And Bruce Willis is great, and like you said, he's a great bad guy. Wish we'd seen him do it a bit more.
Yeah. I've only seen this movie once, and I saw it a long time ago. So that's why I never put it in my top 10. I needed to watch it again, so I could.
Yeah, no, it's well worth a rewatch because to me it hasn't aged at all because it doesn't rely on massive effects and stuff like that. Like Andrew said, the only thing that takes you out a little bit is the prosthetics.
Yeah.
Just say, what's the point? There was no need to do that, really.
It wasn't, but you know.
I mean, Rian Johnson's a really good director. I don't know what you think Last Jedi or anything, but that's I think that's my third favourite Star Wars, probably.
Right.
But and also Knives Out, I think, is great. And
so do I. I'm looking forward to the new one that's coming as well.
Which he's made about 500 million off of Netflix or something, whatever they're paying him. But it gets quite a tight story. I can't remember the exact length of the movie, but I don't think it's over 2 hours.
No, it's about 100 minutes. I'm pretty sure it is.
What's that? What, Looper?
A lot of story.
Yeah.
Looper,
it's
sorry,
1 hour 59. So just under.
Oh, really? It certainly doesn't feel as long as that then.
No.
But he gets
Which is always a good sign. It's a good sign.
Of course. I think as I say, he's a great director, and like Neil was saying, it's well shot, well lit. It's just the weird nose thing that kind of pulls you out.
Yeah. Right. So that was both of yours number 6s. My number 6 was The Sixth Sense. Andy, your number 5 was The Sixth Sense. So Neil, what's your number 5?
It's Sin City. The time that they really did bring a comic book to the big screen for me. You know, it really looked like it was a comic book, wasn't it, on the big screen? And I'm a big fan. I don't like the sequel to Sin City at all.
It's rubbish.
It is absolutely dire, but this one hit the mark in every way. You know, Clive Owen was fantastic. Mickey Rourke, I think, actually steals the whole movie, but but Bruce Willis is fantastic in it. They all are, and it's just a visual delight behind you, you know, into your eyes. I love it. I think it's great.
It's my number 3.
Yeah, it's a very strong movie. Like I said, I wish they'd done the sequel, but you know, just got somebody else to write it or something, because I so wanted the sequel to be so good.
I think they left it a Date to Kill for. I think they left it too long.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So, the way they made the movies, I've got all of the graphic novels, and they kind of took stories that were later on, and then in the sequel, they went back to the same characters who had died for their earlier stories, which I think the first book's called A Date to Kill For, and it's about Marv. Is it Marv? Aye.
Yeah.
It's his story. The original movie, I don't think we'd ever seen anything like it.
No, it's a visual delight, wasn't it?
Aye, I think it was before 300, wasn't it? So would it have been before 300, which I used to like and I rewatched, and now I really, really dislike. But that style of filmmaking, where it was all green screen pretty much, and obviously you had like guest directors as well. Tarantino does a scene with Clive Owen where he's kind of speaking his inner monologue, which was great. And
didn't what's his name, Alan Moore, do a bit himself as well?
And Frank Miller.
Frank Miller, I meant.
He done a bit. And it was actually the first. Was it the first? It wasn't the first 18 movie I seen, but I bought a ticket to go and see Garfield, and snuck in to see it. And now there's one seat left in a huge cinema in Glasgow. And I was worried for the whole 2 hours that I was going to get lifted. So I just assumed that that's what would happen.
But it's clever as well, isn't it? The way they did the visuals, that, you know, the blood just came out white and things like that, so they could up the ante, as it were, and you weren't overly shocked or offended.
But no, I like it. It just didn't make my top 10. I do like the movie. Visually stunning.
It is
grotesque in places. Absolutely, you know, it's like
Elijah Wood.
The Elijah Wood bit is just fucking just barbaric. It's
It is.
it is crazy, but it's got some like Carla Gugino, I think her name is.
Yeah, she's the one that gets cut up. Or she gets her hand cut off.
Yeah, but I mean, she's lovely. She is. I do like it. Carla Gugino.
Yeah.
But it's an amazing cast.
Yeah.
Rutger
Yeah,
Hauer, Rosario Dawson, Powers Booth, Jessica Alba, Mickey Rourke. Yeah, but it just didn't make the top 10. It just was. I think it probably would have been number 11 or 12. I think in mine.
We had so the second one. The second one looked a little bit dated, but they also had like the copycat of The Spirit. I don't know if you've ever seen The Spirit.
Yeah, that
it's
was
just fucking awful.
Yeah,
it is awful.
It was just people kind of criticising. Sorry, I just had my dad phoning me there. In case you kind of guess what's happened. It kind of had a few copycats, and then I think.
But I think that was directed by Frank Miller, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was his own kind of
Yeah.
baby, if you want to call it that. It was really bad. And then maybe Sucker Punch is a wee bit kind of following it as well.
Yeah,
but
I would agree.
stylistically, but maybe not visually. If you
That's
get
a bad movie as well.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I rewatched that recently, and I feel a bit better about it on a second rewatch. I think I liked what they were trying to do, but they just don't pull it off, which is unfortunate. But yeah.
And that was one of like Oscar Isaac's first performances, wasn't it? Yeah.
He plays the orderly, doesn't he?
Yeah. But it was because it sort of went from Sin City, and then I think Zack Snyder sort of took the mantle of that kind of filmmaking, wasn't it? With 300 and all sort of green screen and slow motion and rain and all that kind of thing.
Aye.
I haven't watched 300 in ages. I might have another.
I actually enjoy 3. I think 300 is good. I mean, if you don't take it as a history lesson. Take it
Really?
well, no, because some of it is pretty much near what happened, but some of it isn't. But take it as a good action movie.
It's a romp,
I think,
isn't it? It's another romp. But I want to see how it looks because it's been a long time since I've seen it.
It's a bit problematic now as well. It's like a lot of homophobia in it.
Yeah,
quite in. Yeah, it was what it was at the time. I remember loving it when I was younger, but I just kind of rewatched it and it just didn't take again.
Yeah, and I also think it's been parodied so much
that
it becomes you sort of you realize where the joke comes from when you watch it. You know, a lot of the stuff. Okay, so that was 6, wasn't it? That was number 6. So Sin City was your number 5, Neil.
Yeah.
My number 5, probably going to be higher in your guys, but is Pulp Fiction.
Well, that's my number 2.
Same. Yeah. 2.
Yeah, I thought it might be.
Zed's dead, baby. Zed's dead.
Yeah. This is one of the movies that if it's on ITV3 or ITV2, I'll carry on watching it from wherever it is. It's a genius of a movie. Yeah. I think Bruce Willis, again, he's not the star of the movie. There's people I think in it like John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson who are a little bit, they have more to do, if you like.
But his whole segment for me
with the watch,
but it was a shock. I wasn't expecting all that. Bring out the gimp, but the
gimp
scene and all of that. It was like, this is Bruce Willis.
Yeah. And the one thing that Tarantino does brilliantly in all of his movies, if someone goes into a room and you don't know what's happening in that room, you think that person's going to die. Like when Bruce Willis all through, once he's done with Zed and he's got the bike and he goes back to pick his girlfriend up.
Yeah.
The shot is him getting off the bike, going up the stairs to the apartment, and you don't see anything. So it doesn't cut to anything. So when I remember watching that for the first time, I thought, you're going to see blam blam in a minute and Bruce Willis is dead. Because he's just going to die because you don't see where he is. And all he does is go and pick his girlfriend up and then they come back and it's just one shot. It doesn't cut away to anything else. And that's the genius of Tarantino because he makes you second guess what you're watching. Instead of just watching, is somebody going there to pick his girlfriend up, you think someone's going to get fucking shot in the head in a minute. You know it is because it's Tarantino.
Yeah, well, it's like Travolta's death in it, isn't it? It's blink
exactly.
And miss it. And so many people are like, did he kill him?
Yeah.
Is he dead?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why. Fantastic.
Yeah. Pulp Fiction is I love Tarantino movies, even the ones that are. I think his editor passed away a few years ago.
That's right,
And you
yeah.
can
Yeah.
tell quite a bit. But I even love them. I loved Hateful Eight.
Oh, I love that movie.
Like it get pilloried.
Yeah.
Like, people just didn't seem to like it because it was 3 hours of people sitting in a lodge talking. But that's fine.
Yeah.
Like Tarantino's the best. Sorry, Leo. Shh. The best screenwriter or the best script writer. Sorry,
Yeah.
that's around now. And what you're talking about, kind of subverting the expectation, like when he went to. Have you seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Yeah.
Love that movie.
Yeah.
It's great, but with the scene where Brad Pitt goes to the kind of commune, and you're sitting and you're going, someone's going to die here. This is going to be a big shootout, and it's nothing really happens. He punches a guy in the face, makes him change his tire, and fucks it off.
And you are on your edge of your seat because you think something bad is going to happen, and that's what he knows that you think that. So he plays on it even more, and that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of how he, with every one of his movies, there's tension there, which you're building the tension yourself because you think something is going to. He's not doing anything. It's not like there's music that is going, building the tension up. It's all in your own head.
Yeah,
and I think that's the beauty of Tarantino is that he does that.
Read his novelization of his own movie.
Of the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Yeah, I've heard it's great.
It's fucking
I've never got
brilliant.
into it.
Honestly, it's fucking brilliant. The guy is a genius.
Yeah.
The guy is a genius. Right, quick question then. Pulp Fiction or Reservoir Dogs?
Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction.
Huh?
Yeah.
Right,
There you go. That was a quick question, wasn't
yeah.
I've never been a fan of Reservoir Dogs. Like, I think it's good, but it's never been. It wouldn't even be in my top 5 of his. Like, and I think I'd rather seen him make his version of True Romance, because obviously he wrote True Romance.
Yeah.
But
Or
I would rather. Yeah, because I think that originally that movie is utter
garbage.
Shite. It's terrible.
It's Oliver Stone doing Oliver Stone.
It's Oliver Stone gone so far up his own ass.
Yeah.
But no, I'm a huge fan of Reservoir Dogs. I think it's probably one of the most.
Oh, it's a great movie. It's a great
movie debuts.
Yeah, but I love the fact that now he's at the point now that if he wants to write a scene, like a 25-minute scene of two people just chatting, he'll just do it. He doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care what anybody thinks. If that's what's right for the story. That's what's right for the story.
But that's what I found about the Hateful Eight. When I first watched it at the cinema, I didn't enjoy it because I felt the numbness come through, and I didn't. It took me a second viewing to fall in love with it.
Yeah,
really did.
I love the fact that it's like unapologetically long and slow,
it's like an old-fashioned Sergio Leone western.
Well, it is. Even the sweeping vistas, but then you have like a 10-minute shot of a carriage just going
he even
across.
used Ennio Morricone to do some of the score, didn't he?
Exactly.
So
yeah, fantastic
showed.
Stuff. That is a top 10 we need to do, a top 10 Tarantino movies.
Can I come back for that?
You can, absolutely. You booked your spot on that one.
Plus, this is recording, so it's like it's going to be
written in
out.
blood now, Andrew.
Don't edit this bit
out. Right, so where were we? So that was my number 5. So, Andy, you said Unbreakable for your number 4. And Neil, you said 12 Monkeys for your number 4. Yeah. My number 4 is Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Okay.
I know. I think every single Die Hard movie was originally an original story for something else. It wasn't the script. It was, and it was Simon Says, I think, was the name of.
I've got the script.
Have you got the script?
Yeah, the original script.
And then obviously they tied it into Hans Gruber's brother, which was Simon Gruber. Yeah. Which was Jeremy Irons, and again Jeremy Irons doing the same as Alan Rickman and totally just like chewing up the scenery and being just a really good villain. And it's a bit of a romp, and it's Bruce Willis, it's John McClane on his ass. Fantastic between him and Samuel L. Jackson, just great chemistry. Samuel L. Jackson just in typical motherfucker mode where he doesn't give a shit about anybody. He just wants to care about himself and his community and stuff. Just love the whole premise of that, where he's being given different tasks all the way around New York City just as a smokescreen for stealing money. So Simon Gruber's just no better and no more of a terrorist than his brother was.
And it was the return of John McTiernan, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah,
used to love playing Sorry.
Sorry, what'd you say?
Did you have the Die Hard trilogy game for the PlayStation?
Yeah, I think I might have done. That was a
Yeah.
long time ago.
So it was they had Die Hard was a platform game where you worked your way up. Die Hard 2 was one of these ones that was better if you had a gun
Right.
because you just targeted. But then Die Hard 3, you were in a taxi and you had to run over bombs, but you could look from the inside of the car and just go up on the curb and just plough people. And
All right.
the blood would just spray onto the windscreen and the windscreen wipers would come on. It was so
Oh, right.
violent. But
Oh,
yeah,
my
it was just there's a flash there of that. It's a great game. They need a what do you call it? A remake. Remake.
Yeah, God, I don't think I did then because that doesn't sound familiar. But
It was all in one. It was all in one disc. So it was the 3 games on one disc.
oh, right.
Mhm.
Oh, Christ, that's mad. Okay, so that was my number 4. Number 3 for you, Andy, was Sin City.
Mhm.
So, Neil, what is your number 3?
The Fifth Element. I'm a big fan of this movie, and it has, to me,
That's
it's
my
still
number
as-
3 as well.
Is it? It's still as good now as it ever was. Multipass.
Multifass.
I just think it's funny. It's great action, great villain, Gary Oldman, visually stunning. That doesn't look dated now, the way they've done it. Just everything about the whole movie. And Willis gives almost a laid back performance, but isn't, if you know what I mean. You know,
He's the straight man in the movie, isn't he?
He is, but he's
like
got some
us.
great emotional bits in it.
Oh, it's a great movie.
It's such a great movie. Ian Holmes, funny as, isn't he?
Yeah. Chris Tucker, a little bit maybe over the top.
But then that's Chris Tucker. You know what you're getting, and he put the character of Chris Tucker in that movie is supposed to be OTT, isn't he?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Lee Evans.
Oh yeah, I forgot he was in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
When they're having how many is there outside the room with all those weird alien creatures. Lee Evans was a good actor, wasn't he? Really, he was good.
Well, Mouse Hunt, one of the best comedies ever.
Yeah, and he was funny, and there's something about Mary. Anyway, it's not the top 10 Lee
No,
Evans
it's
movies.
I'm not doing the top 10 Lee Evans movie.
But Bruce Willis, great performance, visually stunning movie, and I must watch this at least once a year.
Mhm.
Yeah, I haven't seen it for a while, but I definitely need to watch it again. I think. Yeah.
I have
And
thoughts.
of course, we had that live show where Whitney came dressed as Lilu with all her
Just the
bandages.
bandages.
I tell you what, Andy, you've never seen so many people stop in their tracks when we had a live podcast show and we had a fancy dress and she came dressed with just like tape just in certain areas. It was
And that was it.
unbelievable.
That's all she wore.
Unbelievable. I mean, she wore it well, didn't she?
She did. Well,
wore
she's
it
some
well.
sort of model anyway. So
Yeah.
that sort of helps.
Yeah. Oh my lord! I just wish we'd
Good night
taken
then,
more
eh?
photographs. We should have taken more photographs. That's what we should have done.
I might have, but they're in my
Oh
secret
right, okay.
collection.
Well, send them over to me when you've finished with them, Neil. Right. So that was your number 3. That was my number 3. Andy, your number 2 was Pulp Fiction.
Mhm.
Neil, your number 2 was Pulp Fiction. My number 2 was Armageddon. So before we before we reveal our number 1s, Andy, do you want to give us a rundown from 10 to 2, please?
Yep. Number 10, 12 Monkeys. Number 9, Planet Terror. Number 8, Glass. Number 7, Die Hard. Number 6, Looper. 5, Sixth Sense. 4, Unbreakable. 3, Sin City. And 2, Pulp Fiction.
Wonderful. Neil, your 10 to 2?
So number 10, Look Who's Talking. Number 9, Armageddon. Number 8, Planet Terror. Number 7, Sixth Sense. Number 6, Looper. Number 5, Sin City. 4, 12 Monkeys. 3, Fifth Element. And 2, Pulp Fiction.
Thank you. And mine is number 10, The Last Boy Scout. 9, 12 Monkeys. 8, Die Hard 2, Die Harder. 7, Unbreakable. 6, The Sixth Sense. 5, Pulp Fiction. 4, Die Hard with a Vengeance. 3, The Fifth Element, and 2, Armageddon. So, Andy, what is your number 1 Bruce Willis movie?
Number 1's The Fifth Element.
Yes.
Absolutely love it.
It's a great
It's
movie.
great. Yeah. It's it was the first 4K I actually bought, and I think I had my settings wrong because it didn't look great. But sometimes these older movies can kind of, when they're can put to scrutiny at really high HD, they don't hold up. But I think I had my settings wrong, so I need to go back and rewatch it again. Yeah, from Mila Jovovich being great in it, Bruce Willis, it's the most kind of I can't be fucked performance. Not as in his performance he can't be fucked, but like his character is just sick of it. Like it's
Yeah.
almost like, Dante from Clerks, or I'm not even supposed to be here today. Just can't be bothered.
Yeah.
The comedy and the action in it are great. It's also a really interesting take where the main villain and the main hero never face off, which I don't know if that's a right. I can't imagine that's quite a regular thing to happen. But Gary Oldman and Bruce Willis never meet in the whole movie.
No.
Oh, do they meet? No, did they meet at one point? No, I don't think they do.
Just trying to think.
think he
I
makes
don't,
the
I
free-
don't think they do.
No, which is quite a brave decision to make, because you would want the big face-off. You'd want Gary Oldman come in with his gun that blows everything up and turns everything to flames and freezes everything, and Bruce Willis to kind of have to face off against him, but they avoided that. I think my favourite scene is once you've got the alien doing the opera, once the opera house is getting attacked, and he's trying to get the deaf guy to throw him the gun. I can't remember what he throws him now. I've taken a total blank, and he's just like, He's watching a good audio medium. Thankfully, he's record this video as well.
Yeah.
A great blend of sci-fi. I think it's Luke Besson's joint best, probably, the Leon. He can be a bit hit or miss, like Lucy I wasn't a fan of, but I think in this he just gets everything spot on.
I think Luke Besson in the 90s was in his prime. That was the best Luke Besson times.
Yeah. Is he Run Lola Run? Was that Luke Besson?
I don't know. I think he was only the producer, wasn't he?
Was he?
I think
Was he the producer of that?
Yeah. He did La Nikita, which is fantastic if you ever get to see that. You see Jean Reno as the cleaner before he went into Leon, called Leon, funny enough. Then Leon, brilliant.
Yeah.
We've got Fifth Element, brilliant. Yes.
What did we get after that? Because I said, I think after that, I've never really
Joan of Arc, didn't he? Which I admire, and visually it looked good, but it was dull as ditch water.
Valerian and a City of 1,000 Planets.
Visually again looks great, but what a bore! It's a complete bore.
Well, I remember we did a trailer reaction to that.
Yeah,
that wasn't good at all. At all. Yeah, Joan of Arc, Fifth Element, Leon.
Lucy just became ridiculous. Yeah,
the Big Blue.
The Big Blue's good, mind.
It did.
Way.
Lucy started well, and then the end just went.
Yeah.
Fucking.
It was like she was indestructible. As soon as she became like all-knowing and all-seeing and indestructible, there was nothing about it. What was the point of the movie? Yeah. Okay, so that's your number one. Neil, what's your number one?
The Colour of Night.
I thought it might be because you get to see his Willy. Don't you,
no,
Neil?
it's not. It's Die Hard. Of course it's Die Hard.
That's my number one as well.
Which I think to this day, there's not many films that I will call a perfect movie from start to finish. Yeah. This is one. Andrew's already pointed out probably the highlights of it. We don't need to go over them. We all know how great it is. But I think from the opening credits all the way through to the close of that movie, there's not one dull or bad thing in that film. So it is just the perfect movie. Perfect performance from Willis. That's why I didn't put the other Die Hards in. I think his performance became a bit too knowing. Do you know what I mean? As John McClane.
Yeah, but I think after number 3, that's definitely the point. And then he becomes this superhero that's fucking indestructible and can walk around Chernobyl.
I mean, I do like Die Hard 2. It would have probably scraped in if we'd have done top 11. But yeah.
And the fact that he was probably about 8th or 9th choice to play John McClane.
Yeah.
Because originally it was supposed to be Frank Sinatra.
That's right.
Because the story, again, it comes from a specific story.
Wasn't nothing like the movie, is it?
No. And then was it Burt Reynolds, I think? And then
was in there. Was it Stallone?
Stallone, I think Schwarzenegger might have been as well.
Yeah.
There were so many of them that were like with the chance to get the part, but he got it, and you wouldn't think of anybody else now as John McClane.
No,
I'm so glad that they've now canned the idea of doing the like John McClane Year One, which they were going to do, weren't they? They were going to do the
Christ,
prequel of
Copy
John
Kevy.
McClane when he was just a beat cop. Well, that was the whole point of John McClane, that he was a guy that was just a normal guy in an extraordinary situation.
Mhm.
If you end up doing a prequel where he's dealt with terrorists before or something, it just defeats the whole object of Die Hard.
Exactly.
That's like you're saying, especially in the 80s era where it was Stallone and it was Schwarzenegger. Bruce Willis coming along and being this guy who's, I mean, he was kept himself in good nick,
Yeah,
but he's not this Adonis, like
No.
ridiculously ripped kind of machismo about him. He was just a guy that was there,
yeah,
no shoes on.
exactly. And look at how beaten and battered he is at the end of Die
Yeah,
Hard. He's got
exactly.
blood coming out of everywhere, and he's an absolute mess. There's no, have a quick wash and then my muscles are gleaming again. He's someone that just gets hurt physically and mentally all the way through Die Hard. So yeah, I think that's I really thought that was going to be the first one we were going to have where we were all decided, but
It's
never
quite
mind.
nice though that it's not. It's quite
It's nice.
I like that.
Absolutely.
It's different.
Absolutely. We got some honourable mentions. Janine Bender said, gotta go with Die Hard hands down. Stu Grant said, in no particular order, Die Hard, Die Hard 2, Die Hard with a Vengeance, Death Becomes Her, Pulp Fiction, 4 Rooms, 12 Monkeys, Sin City, Unbreakable, and Sixth Sense.
Stu Grant said 4 rooms.
I know. I mean, there's a couple of, I think the Bruce Willis bit in 4 Rooms is the best.
Yeah, that's
bit.
the Tarantino bit. but
Yeah.
The rest of it is a struggle.
At Brian_Leather said Last Boy Scout. At Hugenbard said has to be The Fifth Element. Bonkers and brilliant in equal measure. Gary Oldman was such a great baddie. Also, I fancied the pants off Mila Jovovich. Is that I say it? Jovovich?
Yeah, Jovovich.
Jovovich, thank you. Lisa Buchanan said, it's difficult to find a Bruce Willis film I don't like, all that Stu mentioned, plus my additions Armageddon, The Whole 9 Yards. Remember that with Matthew Perry? Looper, Unbreakable, and not a movie, but his cameo role in Friends.
I didn't know he was in Friends.
That's right. No, he did. I think was he going out with
Rachel's boyfriend,
but he was like really insecure, wasn't he?
Ross goes out with his daughter, I think.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, I think Ross goes out with his daughter, which leads to him to meet Rachel. And
That's
then,
right.
like, there's a whole scene in a cabin, and Ross just being a creepy cunt as he usually is.
Just being Ross. Yeah, just being.
Andrew, I'll let you into a secret. I've never seen an episode of Friends.
We'll have to do a
top
10 Friends
top
episode.
10, just a commentary episode or something on the first episode of Friends, Neil.
I don't know whether
For our Patreon, for the Patreons, and we'll do that as a special thing because you've never seen an episode.
Well, I've seen bits, obviously.
I'll do one where I listen to a Pink Floyd album, and you
Radiohead album from start to finish.
Fuck that! I ain't doing that. Jeff,
you watched at the time, don't you? Like, and now you like it as a nostalgia thing.
Yeah,
like, I think if you watched it fresh now, it probably wouldn't have the same impact.
No, that's true. And Jeff Flores says, "Well, I'm going to get shit for this. Hudson Hawk, dumb but love that movie."
Hey, I don't mind Hudson Hawk. I think it's
all right.
under
appreciated.
It's harshly done, isn't it? It's been harshly treated.
Yeah. Pulp Fiction, Die Hard, Death Becomes Her, The Last Boy Scout, 12 Monkeys, and my personal favourite, The Fifth Element. So there you go. Bruce, you're a legend. You're an absolute legend. And we hope that you enjoy your retirement. I know he'll be listening to this because I'm sure he will. But enjoy your retirement, and like I say, he's a Hollywood legend, so he should enjoy his retirement and just chill out.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah.
All right, Neil, tell everybody how they can get in touch and all that gubbins, please.
Okay, you can find us on all the social medias at Top 10 Pods. Give us a click, give us a like, give us a follow. Email us at top10pods@hotmail.com. Come and help. Excuse me. Come and help support the podcast at patreon.com/top10pods. You can get all sorts of rewards and even be a guest on your own pod like Andrew here. Check out all the links via the LINKTREE. You can find the link in the show notes. And please come and subscribe, leave a review and a rating wherever you get your goddamn podcast from.
That's right. And remember, there'll be a video playlist that goes with this episode for our Patreon subscribers, which Andy very kindly as well. So thank you for your support, Andrew. It means
Yes, thank you very much.
the world to us. It really does.
No problem.
That's it. So, Andy, are you champions?
Yes, we drew one each. So
Well, congratulations.
That'll do.
That'll do. Champions League football for next season.
Yep.
And we'll see you for the next top 10 for a Tarantino one.
Yes,
then.
we'll see you for Tarantino.
We'll make it a 3-hour special.
Because he's only got 9 movies.
Oh, shit. Yeah, maybe we need to wait.
We're talking of him being a director. You could have, he did CSI.
Oh, well, yeah. Oh, that's great.
I'll have a top 9.
Oh, dear. Yeah, we might need to...
Best Tarantino screenplays.
Count True Romance in it, and then
we'll sort something out. Sort something out.
Can.
But Andy, thank you so much for joining us once again.
Thanks very much.
Always a pleasure chatting to you. We'll put the link to Andy's podcast in the show notes as well. So please give that a listen and a review and a rating. And same as ours, give us a review and a rating. Neil, thanks once again.
Thank you very much, Pablo. Thank you very much, Andrew.
Cheers, Neil. See you there.
Thanks very much, everyone, and go and let's start. Fuck that up. Oh, it's been a long day. Let's go start the countdown.
10.